Good evening, everyone. Welcome to our regular City Council meeting for September 22nd, it being 5:33. I would like to call this meeting to order. Please all rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you, everyone. Madam Clerk, call the roll, please.
Good evening, Council. Councilmember Abel.
Here.
Councilmember Netter.
Here.
Councilmember Hoheimer. Councilmember Fletcher.
Here.
Councilmember Hilst.
Here.
Councilmember Phillips.
Here.
Mayor Burris.
Here. Having a quorum, we will conduct business. Chair would entertain a motion for the approval of the agenda, please.
Madam Mayor, I make a motion that the agenda be approved as presented.
Second.
Motion made by Mr. Hilst and second by Mr. Nutter.
Madam Mayor,
Yes.
I'd like to move to table items 8.2, the ordinance number 4340-2526, amending the Pekin City Code by creating new subsections under Chapter 4, Article 3, Division 5, regarding short-term rentals, and creating Division 19 under Chapter 5, Article 1, short-term rentals, case ZTA 2025-05, and item 8.4, ordinance number 4342-2526, approving and authorizing the execution of a Pekin Court Street Pekin Court Street Tax Increment Financing TIF District Redevelopment Agreement with Jack Sangali and D. Sangali Enterprises LLC. I move to table those two items, 8.2 and 8.4, to next meeting.
I'll
I
second
don't
that.
believe we, I was going to say, I don't believe we have a second, but you want to second it? Mr. Hilst?
Yes, I'll second that.
Motion made to table 8.2 and 8.4, made by Ms. Phillips and second by Mr. Hilst. Madam Clerk, call the roll, please.
Councilmember Phillips.
Aye.
Councilmember Abel.
No.
Councilmember Netter.
No.
Councilmember Fletcher.
So do we have to do both of these together?
Well, the motion was made to table both together. I don't know. You want to do it separately?
And I have to be a no.
You want to know? Okay.
Okay.
They'd have to be two different before I would.
Right, well, there has to be two different, so there's gonna, so you,
He said
Okay.
no unless you want to make it separately, but it wasn't made separate to begin with. Sorry.
right, and I apologize, so it's,
That's all right.
so you would vote for one, but not both, but we have to do two things, because we're gonna have to come back and approve the agenda overall. There are two sets of two where I got confused.
Correct. If it's presented that way,
Yeah.
I will be a no.
Got it, okay.
All right, so far I have a yes and 3 noes. And do you know where you are?
Councilmember Hilst.
Aye.
Mayor Burris.
No.
Motion fails.
Motion fails 2-4. So now, do we go back to approval of the agenda? Okay. I don't need, we just need to vote on, correct? I don't need, we've already had,
Mayor, there could be discussion, so obviously.
Oh, okay.
Councilmember Fletcher said that there was, I'm not putting words in his mouth, but there's clearly one item that he would consider taking.
okay. Mr. Fletcher, would you like to say something, or any other council?
No, I was just going to say I didn't want to table both.
Okay.
If you want to do them separately, then it's a possibility.
If there is discussion allowed, I'd speak to why I want to table them. 8.2 regarding the new short-term rentals. There was a lot of code section proposed, and I think that I personally would like more time to really review that and think it through. And item 8.4, I feel like Councilmember Hoheimer should be present when we discuss that. So those are the reasons. I'm happy to split the motion, or happy to just say, if you guys want to do it tonight, that's okay.
Okay, then we will
Well,
move
I'll just
forward.
speak to that,
Oh,
since I seconded it and voted for it, so, and I appreciate you giving the reasons why. I've just always been somewhat, for the most part, I think, a firm believer, if somebody wants to table something because they need some more time to review it, I'm good with that. Doesn't mean I'll support it or vote for it, but I'm good with giving people time to read through something if that's what they need. As far as doing it to make sure somebody specific is here to vote on it, I'm not sold on that one.
I have to agree with you on that one, Rick.
I,
You can put that down in record.
and I just say, it wasn't the vote as much as the discussion that I was concerned about.
Okay. Okay, I'm a little confused where we're at, as I think we all are.
Okay. We're ready to take the vote if you are.
All right.
Madam Mayor.
Madam Clerk, call the roll on the approval of the agenda.
Councilmember Phillips,
Aye.
Councilmember Abel,
Aye.
Councilmember Nutter,
Aye.
Councilmember Fletcher,
Aye.
Councilmember Hills,
Aye.
and Mayor Burris.
Aye. Motion passes 6-0 since she is absent? Okay. Chair would entertain a motion for the approval of the minutes, please.
Madam Mayor, I make a motion to approve the minutes from the regular city council meeting of September 8th, 2025.
Second.
Motion made by Mr. Hilston, second by Mr. Nutter. Any discussion on the approval of the minutes from September 8th, 2025? Madam Clerk, call the roll, please.
Councilmember Hilst,
Aye.
Councilmember Fletcher,
Aye.
Councilmember Nutter,
Aye.
Councilmember Abel,
Aye.
Councilmember Phillips,
Aye.
Mayor Burris.
Aye. Motion passes 6-0. We have now come down to item 5 on the agenda, which is public input. Anyone wishing to have their voice be heard, please come to the podium. Make sure that the mic is on and state your name. And just a reminder, you have 5 minutes.
I'm Marie Williams, I live at 519 State Street.
Okay?
I have complained about 528 Henrietta Apartment several times. I have called the cops, and I'm not the only one who has called the cops. We have squatters sitting in there, and it's like a drug trafficking, in and out. They lock the doors, and on the side of the apartment is a window. They leave that unlocked. He jumps in there and unlocks the doors. I know 2 Saturdays ago, my son called the cops because they were fighting, and she was out there screaming, "Help me, help me, help me," so my son called the cops. But yet, when they went there, "Oh, no, we're fine." No, they argue so bad that I can hear it in my living room over my surround sound. But they say they paid $75 rent not this past Saturday, but 2 Saturdays ago. How? Because the people who do these apartments are closed on the weekends. You're getting 2 different stories. If you rent this apartment, then don't you think you should have a key? Instead of jumping in a window? I have pictures. He has a blazer out there up on wood blocks, stripping it out. He has an inside light that he had cut off, hanging on the outside underneath the guttering. The cords are running inside of the side window where they jump in. They have car parts where he's junking from this blazer in the garbage can. There's tires out there now because he's busting the tires down off of the rims, and he's taking the rims and putting the tires beside the dumpster out there. Then I have a house behind me that I know Errol Smith owns. That camper has been sitting there since 2018. I know the city has tagged him 2 or 3 times. I was told by one of the neighbors. He tears the tags off and throws them in the garbage. There's all kinds of weeds growing up in there and everything. And then 2 doors down from me is a nasty yard. They have, in the front driveway, they have a trailer out there that has a refrigerator on it that kids can get into. And this needs cleaned up. And I know, I called the cops here 2 or 3 days ago. He was burning. Well, I don't mind him burning, but the backyard is dry. He has limbs all over because when, what's his name, used to live there, Baker, Chris Baker used to live there. I know the city told him to clean it up. He did. In the yard it went. All that wood in that is in that yard. All we're getting is raccoons and everything. We seen one trying to climb up the pole to get up on top of the apartments over there last night. I'm addressing this stuff because it does need took care of.
I'm sorry, you have 40 seconds left.
That's okay, I have pictures for you.
Well, I will tell you that, wait a minute, I'm going to let you have your last 30 seconds. Go right ahead.
That's okay, go
Okay.
ahead.
I will tell you that Mr. Dossie's taking notes. I hope you picked up every address that she was talking about. And,
I'll have Chief Rainey
Yeah.
go out and have a conversation with her.
sounds wonderful.
Yeah, if he wants to see my pictures, I sure do have plenty of them.
Okay, I'm sure maybe he would be interested in them.
But, you know, I try to take care of my yard. And if there's something wrong with it, walk in the backyard and let me know.
All right,
Because I don't like a dirty yard.
all right, well, we appreciate it. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
They will get with you.
Okay.
Anyone else from the public wishing to have their voice be heard? Seeing none, public input is closed. We have now come down to item 6, which is the consent agenda. Chair would entertain a motion, please.
Madam Mayor, I make a motion that the consent agenda be presented, including the following 5 items. 6.1, account payable paid proof list, September 15th, 2025. Financial reports through August 31st, 2025. Receive and file fiscal year 25-26 budget transfers through September 12, 2025. Receive and file for qualifications packets for city engineer services. Ordinance number 4338-25/26, approving a site plan submitted by Nexamp Incorporated on behalf of Sunny Pasture Solar LLC for the construction of the previously approved commercial solar farm on the property located at 310 Hannah Drive.
Second.
Motion made by Mr. Hilston, second by Mr. Nutter. Any discussion? Seeing none? I saw that the vote was up here. Are we still voting manually?
I think she puts it up after.
Oh, okay. Madam Clerk, call the roll, please.
Councilmember Nutter?
Aye.
Councilmember Fletcher?
Aye.
Councilmember Phillips? Councilmember Abel?
Aye.
Councilmember Hilst?
Aye.
Mayor Burris?
Aye. Motion passes 6-0. Thank you, Mr. Fletcher. I see that now. I'm writing everything down, so I appreciate that. Thank you. We have now come down to item 7, which is a discussion. This discussion is for the strategic plan discussion. Mr. Dossi?
Thank you, Mayor. As council recalls, and as well as staff, we participated in some days where we worked together on the strategic plan, developing a mission, vision statement, and kind of setting priorities and goals that the council would like to see carried forward over the next 4 years. Jim Arndt is here from, mine's going blank here. It's been a long weekend.
That's what happens when you turn
Yeah.
a big number.
Yeah, yeah. And he's going to discuss a little bit. I believe there's some council input on here, and I'm going to invite him up and let him go ahead and have provide a little bit more information to council.
Welcome, Jim.
Thank you, Madam Mayor.
I don't know if that's turned on.
How about that?
There you go, try that.
Hey, all right.
There you go.
Well, it's a pleasure to be here again tonight, Madam Mayor, honorable council members, Mr. City Manager, and the leadership team. It's been a joy. Katie and I talked about it this afternoon, how working with you guys has just been a real pleasure and joy for us. The city is definitely blessed to have your leadership. You guys really do a good job. I work with a lot of different cities, villages, townships, and counties, and it's just a joy to come and work with you guys. Tonight, we just have a brief presentation, and Councilmember Nutter, I do appreciate the feedback I got on the plan. We'll make those modifications and corrections, and as John was saying, from that document that you guys got over the weekend, any
Yeah.
modifications we need to make, we will
Yeah.
get that done and get it back to you guys.
We appreciate that. Thank you.
No problem. Again, as I said before, I'm like a broken record, but everything rises and falls on leadership, and I do appreciate the leadership you guys do for the city of Pekin. I truly appreciate your leadership, and it's being noticed. I actually work with a young man who's a senior at Eastern Illinois University. We work together on our football crew, and he's actually a native of Pekin. He graduated from Pekin High School. He goes to Eastern, and he has noticed the work that you guys are doing, and he applauds you for your efforts and your leadership. So
Excellent.
it's being noticed.
Yeah, thank you. That's what we heard up north as well. Thank you.
Council recognition, your leadership is what will turn this plan into action. As we talked before, the magical thing about a strategic plan is actually doing the work of the plan, doing the work to accomplish the priorities, pouring into the vision, pouring into the mission, but you guys do have the leadership to get that done. Just a brief recap, as John was mentioning, we started this process off with a retreat. We did that, the leadership team and the council worked together. We worked through some leadership exercises, if you remember, and then we met again with the leadership team for a planning session, and then we came back with this council in this same chambers for a planning session. So really putting the plan and process in place, if you will, for the plan. But why have a plan? It goes back to what I said before. It's about making sure you're not just lost in the woods. You're not the Cheshire Cat, right? You're making sure that you have a target, you have a destination in mind, and that's what you did with establishing your vision and your mission for Pekin. Prior to putting that together, though, you guys did a wonderful thing, and a lot of communities don't do this. I just want to stress that for you. You guys actually reached out to your community stakeholders. You did a community listening session. You listened to what are we doing well? What's Pekin thrive at? What are we strong at? Where are we a little bit weak? What's our opportunities for the future? What's our threats to what keeps you up at night in the community? And you heard what was that from your stakeholders. You heard that from your community members. And like I said, some communities don't do that. They'll do a planning session and they say, we're the elected officials. We'll set the vision. We'll set the mission. We'll do the goals. Before you guys did any of that, your first step was to listen to your community, and I applaud you for that. Speaking of vision, your vision, a safe community where family and businesses grow together and thrive. So basically what you're saying is in the future, this is what you want Pekin to be, a safe community where where families and business can grow together and thrive, and I applaud you for that as well. Your mission, to lead progress by providing excellent service, fostering opportunity, and enhancing quality of life in our community. And again, it goes back to making sure that you guys are looking at leading. As we mentioned before, and Madam Mayor, you've heard me say many times, leaders lead. And that's what you guys do as a council. You're leading progress by providing excellent service, fostering opportunity, and enhancing quality of life in our community. Values. We did an organizational value exercise, and these are the values that you chose to embrace over the next several years in Pekin within the organization. Integrity, accountability, excellence, teamwork, and growth. And then you came together as a team and set priorities, major priorities to pursue as a council. Maintaining roads and sidewalks and sewers, was, as Councilman Nutter indicated. Public safety, pursuing public safety. Providing opportunities for growth and development. And maintaining financial transparency and stability. So wonderful priorities that are backfilled with some action items to work on over the next several years. We also talked about implementation and accountability, regular reporting requirements, engaging the community. This is a plan that you're going to say, hey, this is what we're going to do, and we're going to show you how we're doing it, and making sure you realize that we are doing it, and reporting your progress to the community. And then also following up with your champions. You assign these priorities to champions, following up with them to make sure, are we making progress? Let's report that progress. And then making sure that the plan is always relevant and evolving. You know, once you accomplish a priority, moving on to those next priorities, creating new priorities, continue to grow Pekin and grow your plan. Goes back to what I said before. For a strategic plan to succeed, you have to work the plan. Otherwise, it's a document, it's a piece of paper. Vision and mission implementation strategies, build a shared understanding, make sure the whole team understands the vision, make sure the whole team understands the mission. This is why we are doing what we're doing. This is Team Pekin. This is why we exist. Integrate it into your daily work, reinforce it through communication, branding, plaster it on your walls. What's your vision? What's your mission? Make sure people understand it when they walk into your facilities. This is why we exist. This is what we do. Support employees and departments as they pursue your priorities. For acknowledgements, just want to say thank you to everyone who participated in the strategic planning process. Most of the people in this room participated more than one time. You spent hours putting into this. You got your brains going, your creative juices were flowing, and I appreciate that. It goes back to your leadership, and I thank you for your leadership. To quote Henry Ford, coming together is a beginning. Keeping together is progress. Working together is success. And that's what you guys have done. You've come together, you're keeping together, and now you're working together towards that success.
Love it.
Work the plan. How well you lead determines how well you succeed. My contact information is on the slides. As I said before, give us your feedback. We'll make the modifications to the plan that we need to make, and then we'll print out bound copies, provide those for the city, and then also the final electric plan you can put on your website. Any questions for me?
I don't believe so at this time.
Well, thank you very much.
Wait a second. Yep. Yeah. Thank you very much
You're
for
welcome.
all your hard work. I want to thank all the council for everything that they did, whether it be, you know, a phone call to you or to Mr. Dossi. I'd like to see this changed to input. And you're right. We are leading this city, and it's going in the right direction. So thank you.
Thank you. I appreciate you.
Thank you.
I got a quick one.
Sure.
I don't know who to address this to or whoever wants to answer it. So, under the plan, goal 1 for maintain roads and sidewalks, the last objective there says finish Court Street, Broadway Street, and Derby Street reconstructions. And then the next column over under the time frame, it's got Broadway Street listed for 2028 and Derby Street for 2029. So we're going to be finishing the reconstruction of Broadway before we do Derby? Is that the way I should understand that?
That's the way
Well,
you should, that's what's in the plan. We can modify that as you deem fit, though.
Well, we did receive the $2.88 million grant, and it did state the time in there. So that's why we went ahead and put those dates in there. Isn't that correct?
That's my recollection,
Mhm,
yes.
yeah.
It's based on the funding.
I'd love to say Derby is going to be done tomorrow, but we all know that it won't be done tomorrow.
So when that says Broadway Street, then what are we talking, from where to where on Broadway?
That's Parkway down to 14th Street.
Parkway to just a little bit past 14th.
Oh, is it on past? Okay, yeah. So everything from new road, new curbs, new sidewalk.
Sidewalks.
I believe, are they going to put up a new bus stop shelter there as well? No, I wasn't sure. I thought
haven't-
I'd heard something
I
of
haven't
that.
seen the engineering on that yet.
And the reason why, I do want to tell you that I was at some of these meetings, and our previous city engineer had, she put in recommendations on not necessarily which one is to get done first, but what is on that street. And with the health department moving in there along with our Pekin Housing there. That bumped that project up, giving it more points. And Greater Economic Development decided to choose this project to get done. And they gave the date of 27, I believe. It wasn't our choice.
I suggest we go back and look at what the plan said originally, because I thought the engineering is supposed to have been done this year.
Some of it
I
was
don't remem-
supposed to
Excuse
start
me.
in
The dates are
26.
in there, and
Yeah,
we're
let's
having
go
some
back and look at
discussion.
it, because,
This is probably more appropriate for when we talk about the budget.
Yeah, yeah.
right.
Because there's some things in there, I don't want to misspeak right now because I don't have that information in front of me, but things might move up sooner on some things than what we thought.
Yeah.
Okay.
And I'm sorry, Dave, but I think some was supposed to start in 26, some part of it, but the majority of it was in 27. And I'd have to pull up my records to find out for sure, too. Okay. Thank you very, very much. I appreciate it. Thank you. We have now come down to item 8, which is new business. Chair would entertain a motion for 8.1, please.
Madam Mayor, I move that ordinance number 433925/26, approving a real estate agreement with JPG Commercial Real Estate LLC for the sale of city-owned property on Court Street, parcel numbers 11-11-07-400-037 and 11-11-07-400-012 be approved. Second.
Motion made by Mr. Nutter and second by Mr. Abel. Mr. Dossi.
Mayor, Josh has been working real hard on this, so I'm going to have him go ahead and present this. There's a lot of information.
Yeah, Josh, once again, you've hit the ground running on this. Let's hear what you have to say.
Thank you, Mayor. A few months ago, a regional developer approached the city about the purchase and development of city-owned property on Court Street. It doesn't have an address right now, but it's located in front of Menards between SEFCU and PNC Bank. There is a preliminary site plan for this that is, still a confidential document to make sure that anything that happens in that industry is, kept, what do they call that? Trade secrets, as it were. So council has seen that site plan. It's not officially a submitted or reviewed or anything like that by the city staff. Just want to make that clear. But it does show that there could be 3 retail tenants on this site after development. One of those tenants is ready to go. That's what's the impetus for moving this forward at this time, is that they're ready to go and the developer is ready to develop the site. The developer has offered to pay the city $100,000 for this property. Staff does feel this is very fair. We would typically see a higher price per acre for this such prime location. However, the property is currently a stormwater facility, and it's going to take a significant amount of cost to bring that back to grade, relocate the stormwater pond, do all the infrastructure that's necessary to keep the regional stormwater detention and everything all as it should be. So the city's agreement with Cullinan does call for the city to obtain a 1-acre site across Court Street. That's where the new pond would go during this development process. I did have a conversation with Cullinan last week. They are perfectly amiable with that. They're actually, they're proposing a little bit larger site in the back of their property over there, so there'll be more discussion about that. But suffice it to say that Cullinan is, agreeable to making this move forward. The developer has agreed to front the expense for the construction of that relocation effort, and then the city would reimburse him through tax rebates that would be better specified in a redevelopment agreement like the TIF or BDD agreements you've seen before. The city would still be providing the engineering for that public, infrastructure portion of the project. One other note, we did put out an RFP on this site. Just, it's kind of hard to find comparable costs and properties similar to this. So just to be safe and know that we're getting good value, or at least that there's not a better value waiting there sitting for us, we did put an RFP out for approximately 3 weeks, and staff did not receive any other proposals. So there's a summary of terms that's in the packet. Again, $100,000 sale price, We would negotiate and enter into a redevelopment agreement that would come before council before it would be approved. The city incurs the engineering costs for the stormwater portion of the project. And then the only, the particular timeline that's in there is once the developer starts the site work, they have to finish it within 12 months. So they can't start it and fill in part of the pond and then, wait 4 years before the new pond is constructed because we don't want to mess with flooding or anything in that area.
Good.
Now, again, an actual TIF or BDD agreement will come before council separately if this is approved tonight. The attorneys have started drafting that, but we didn't want to get too far into it if council didn't want to see this happen. So we did include some general terms that would be included in that separate agreement, just to make sure everybody's aware of what the thought is up front. And that is the developer would receive 75% of the sales taxes generated by the property that come to the city only. So not 75% of the sales tax that goes to the state, just the stuff that comes to the city, until they're reimbursed for those TIF or BDD eligible expenses. And that would not include the purchase price of the property from the city. Although it could include, piece potentially purchasing site or land on either side of the city property, it could be included in that. There's some more numbers in here that we can certainly ask questions, but the developer, Jeff Graves, is here tonight to speak to his project and answer questions that the council might have about the project. Ultimately, staff does recommend approval of this ordinance selling the property to the developer.
Good evening, Mr. Graves. How are you?
I'm fine, thank you.
Good.
Thanks for the opportunity to be here. How's that?
That's wonderful.
Okay, all right.
Yeah.
I'm Jeffrey Graves, JPG Commercial Real Estate. I'm a developer of small shopping centers and single-tenant retail buildings. I've built in the past buildings for U.S. Cellular in Galesburg and Peoria. I've built Goodwill stores in Peoria, Peru, and Morris, Illinois. But I've probably done more in Pekin. I was involved with a partner years ago in the development of the downtown Hardee's.
Oh,
Later,
nice.
I did the downtown O'Reilly's Auto Parts. A few years ago, I did the Verizon that's downtown. Built strip centers at Parkway Plaza, just south of the high school on Parkway. I did 2 small strips out there at East Court Center, the one with Verizon and One Main Financial. The U.S. Cellular Strip Center was another one of mine. The Athletico was on Court Street, was a redevelopment of a former Wendy's. So I've had quite a bit of fun in Pekin working here, and look forward to doing some more. This project, as Just said, I've got one retailer that's it's not signed up yet, but anxious to get going. And the second building I showed as a 2-tenant. It may end up just being a single-tenant building as well. But I'm looking forward to a good project and stand here ready to answer questions that you might have.
Thank you very much for wanting to invest in Pekin and continuing to invest in Pekin. We appreciate that. Council, I'm going to open up. Do you have any questions for Mr. Graves? Mr. Nutter.
Thank you very much for the opportunity that you're going to fill in a huge hole out there. So that is beautiful. One of the big concerns citizens have expressed is traffic flow for CEFCU, Menards, Staples, and all that. Do you have a concern?
No, I don't, though I don't know if we talked about it, but we do need to get cooperation from Menards because Menards owns the access that serves the property. But I think we would be bringing in possibly more business to Menards, to Staples, to to CEFCU and PNC. I think they could all benefit from the traffic. I think there's enough, I don't think it's going to overtax the infrastructure out there.
Well, like I said, it was citizens' input and everything, so I thought now's the time to ask and see what your input is. So thank you.
Okay.
Mr. Abel.
The question I would ask is with, we'll say, 3 properties that have 3 businesses, the park.
Well, I think there, and I think it'll end up to be 2, but I actually had a meeting with an engineer in Peoria earlier today, and we talked about the parking requirements for one of my prospective target tenants. And these tenants won't make a deal with me if there's not enough parking to satisfy their needs. I mean, I have to satisfy the retailers, and I think I can, so.
Mr. Fletcher.
So my concern, and hopefully you guys will address this or maybe look at an entrance off of Court Street into that piece of property, is to go out there about noon, 1 o'clock and try to leave, say, Wendy's and try to turn left to go to Menards or VFW. It's almost impossible. So when you guys do take a look at it, we do need to look at the traffic pattern out there, in and out. It's very difficult on that single road. So hopefully you can look ahead and maybe get an entrance off of Court Street. I don't know how difficult that is. That's throwing that out there for you to think about it.
Well, it was discussed. I think it would be expensive, but I think it's something we can look at. I'll call the engineer who I met with today and ask them to maybe sketch that in. It would be subject to review by the city engineer and council and
That doesn't affect my vote. I'm just saying, as somebody that goes out there and has lunch out there regularly and does business at CEFCU almost every day, it's very difficult in and out of there.
well, I'll be, I'm in town all week, and I'll spend some time out there at lunch hour and take a look at that. And
Well, it would have to be a right turn only. True, yeah.
right in, right out.
Okay.
Yeah, I did mention that. I've been talking with Menards because I need cooperation from Menards. I threw that idea out, and Menards didn't jump at it. They said that they're fine with the way it is now. But we'll take a look at it.
Okay. Anyone else? Mr. Hilst.
So my first question is, if this happens to get approved, do you have any kind of a time frame when you would actually start work out there?
Yes.
I mean, just roughly, like the next month, the next 6 months?
No, because the city engineer, the city is going to do the plans, so it'll be done to their required specifications. But I think it's 2 to 3 months to get the plans done,
Okay,
the construction plans. And so, but, so I think we're looking at probably first quarter of next year, but, you know, if I can get the plans sooner and then, you know, in the dead of winter, probably it's probably a spring start.
okay. And the construction for the new storm drain that we're gonna have to put out there behind, somewhere on Colin's property, it was stated that the city will be in charge of the engineering of that, but then the developer, yourself, are gonna be in charge of the construction of it?
Yes.
Okay. What about any easements that are on that property? Are those all gonna, is there any issues with any easements out there?
Not to my knowledge.
Perhaps Justin or Nick could speak to that as well. But there's existing stormwater infrastructure that goes from that current stormwater pond, if you will, underneath Court Street and underneath Cullinan's property to eventually get to the creek. So really, we're not going to be modifying a whole lot. We're basically going to move where the pond is, and most of the infrastructure itself will remain the same, except as we get to the creek. So there's already infrastructure there, and then any additional easements that we might need for maintenance of that infrastructure, on the call with Cullinan, they actually said they'd be happy to provide any easements, or if we can fit it all within the extra space that they're willing to give us, then that'd be great.
Okay, and what about is there any particular issues with any sign relocations that need to be moved out there? Any signs on that property at all?
Yeah, that's something that Mr. Graves and I have discussed. There are 2 existing signs on that property that there are easements recorded for the Menard sign, and we couldn't find an easement for the Staples sign. I imagine there's one out there. Hopefully the title company finds it, but regardless, Mr. Graves has, I think, got a sign plan to do kind of a panel sign for the property, so it'd have, a multi-tenant sign out there that would still conform to our graphics code, of course.
My plan would be to build a new pylon I happen to know the Wendy's franchisee. I think I sold him his store in East Peoria, and I'm selling him another store in Peoria now, or trying to, working as a broker there. But I would plan to do a new pylon sign, and we'll offer Staples space on that as well. So that'll take care of the Staples sign and the Wendy's sign.
Yeah, I misspoke. I meant Staples and Wendy's, not Menards. Menards is just on the other side of the property line.
So would that be similar to you now, when you go out there at Cullinan's property, you see Marshall's, Ross, it's all on one? That's what you're stating,
Yes,
correct? Yeah. Okay. That'd be very nice. Okay.
All right, I appreciate the answers. That's all I have. Thank you.
Any other questions or comments from council? Well, I have one, and it's just probably too much information, but my maiden name was Graves, and my nephew is Jeffrey Graves. So, gosh, this must be an omen with everything you have brought to Pekin and wanting to invest more in Pekin. So thank you.
You're welcome.
Seeing no other comments needed, council, take your vote, please.
Councilmember Nutter?
Yes.
Councilmember Fletcher?
Aye.
Councilmember Phillips?
Aye.
Councilmember Abel?
Aye.
Councilmember Hilst?
Aye.
Mayor Burris?
Aye. Motion passes 6-0. Once again, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Chair would now entertain a motion for 8.2, please.
Madam Mayor, I move that ordinance number 4340-25/26, amending Pekin City Code by creating a new subsections under Chapter 4, Article 3, Division 5 regarding short-term rentals, and creating Division 19 under Chapter 5, Article 1, short-term rentals, which was presented under case ZTA 2025-05, be approved. Second.
Motion made by Mr. Nutter and second by Mr. Abel. Mr. Dossi.
Thank you, Mayor. The proposed ordinance addresses the increasing presence of short-term rentals in Pekin through platforms such as an Airbnb and VRBO. These rentals have become more common in cities across Illinois and the nation, and the need for a consistent, enforceable regulatory framework has grown. This ordinance is designed to protect the public's health and safety, provide a clear licensing and inspection process for short-term rental operators, establish fire safety, sanitation, and insurance standards, clarify zoning, occupancy, and tax requirements, and mitigate potential nuisance impacts on surrounding neighborhoods. A brief summary of the key provisions are the creations of a licensing program for short-term rentals that are valid January through December of each year, mandatory inspections by city officials for compliance with building and safety codes, restrictions on number of guest rooms with a maximum of 3, and rental duration 2 to 29 consecutive days, limits the number of short-term rental licenses to a maximum of 15, a requirement for minimum liability insurance coverage and designation of a local property manager, tax collection obligations in line with the city's hotel motel tax ordinance, and prohibition of exterior signage, excessive occupancy, and unregulated events or gatherings, and as well as penalties for the violations, including license suspension, revocation, or fines. Some of the staff comments on this are the ordinance was developed to ensure that short-term rentals operate in a way that is fair, safe, and respectful to both the guests and residents, that it supports responsible property ownership while helping to maintain neighborhood integrity and ensure compliance with health, fire, and building standards. There was no public input that was received, and this was a recommendation by the ZBA recommending approval. And Nick would be available to answer further questions.
I do want to clarify one thing. Under the key provisions, the ZBA did amend the number of guest rooms to a maximum of 5. So in my request to council, it says a maximum of 3. Within the ordinance, it is a maximum of 5.
Thank you. Any questions from the council?
Just a comment. Nick, I know, did a lot of due diligence and researching on this. I attended that meeting, and the ZBA members brought up a lot of good questions. They challenged a couple things on there. I didn't realize that we had, how many do we have currently? 10 or 12? 10 or 12, so we've got that, put the maximum at 15. I think it's a good thing, not only for the registration, but the safety aspect. It's one of those things, not any different than a hotel motel. Go in there, fire, police, and everything to make sure everything's up to code. And I think it's a good ordinance. So I definitely am going to support this.
I would have to agree, Mr. Netter. It is a good ordinance. It's something that we have needed, so. Any other council? Madam Clerk, call the roll, please.
Councilmember Nutter?
Aye.
Councilmember Fletcher?
Aye.
Councilmember Phillips?
Aye.
Councilmember Abel?
Aye.
Drop my pen.
Councilmember Hilst?
Aye.
Councilmember Abel?
Aye.
Mayor Burris?
Aye. Motion passes 6-0. Chair would now entertain a motion for 8.3, please.
Madam Mayor, I move that ordinance number 4341, 25/26, approving utility tax payment agreement with Alto Ingredients Incorporated be approved.
Second.
Motion made by Mr. Nutter and second by Ms. Phillips. Mr. Dossi.
Mayor, I'm going to ask Josh and Eric to go ahead and discuss this with council.
Thank you. Mr. Dabrowski? Joshua?
I'll
Okay.
start first. On May 1st, 2024, City Council implemented utility taxes on natural gas, electricity, and water utilities. And then approximately a year later, there was a modification to the gas utility tax. In that ordinance, council also approved an annual collective cap on those taxes of $250,000 for any taxpayer. And, you know, a single taxpayer might have multiple accounts, but if they're a single taxpayer, we consider that cap just, you know, collectively. Alto Ingredients reaches this cap each fiscal year just with their first set of utility bills in May. The language for the tax cap states that an entity may be rebated any amount they have paid above the cap by submitting to the finance department along with proof of their paid taxes. This would make sense for a majority of users who may go over the cap one year and not another, or, you know, they're not sure if they're going to go over it. But in Alto's situation, it's very different in that it is known that they will go over this cap every single year. They're a massive user of utilities. So rather than have to process monthly, you know, acceptance of their reimbursement requests and then process a reimbursement, have millions of dollars flowing through our funds, which we actually lose a small percentage of because the utilities companies are allowed to take a small cut for their portion of the work. Alto and the city staff are proposing to do a utility tax payment agreement whereby Alto would just pay the city directly, essentially 1/12 of that cap every month. Be a lot less burdensome both for Alto and for the city, save time. And then another thing to note about this, Alto technically missed the deadline to request several months of their reimbursement or rebate as provided for in the ordinance. You're supposed to, after you have paid and the city has received those tax dollars approximately a month later, you then have 90 days to request reimbursement for that month. So, you know, strictly from when we kind of had this conversation started about the reimbursement back in July, you could go back to everything they've paid for since March of this year. But, you know, this was a new tax. I think there was miscommunication about how it was going to be implemented. They thought that it was going to be direct. The utilities were just going to shut their taxation off after they reached the cap. That's not how that works. And in all fairness, you know, we knew they were going to go over the cap, and we never checked in with them about it in the first year that the tax was there. So Alto is kind of requesting a one-time waiver of that restriction as part of this, where we will go back to the full amount that they have quote-unquote overpaid, which is a little over $1 million. Now, some of that will be paid directly if this ordinance is approved as is, and then some of it will be credit towards their future utility tax liability. And then the split there is that $750,000 would be immediately reimbursed. About $500,000 of that would be reimbursed just straight under the existing ordinance with this agreement or without this agreement. So that's how much they would about be owed. But we're saying 750 would be paid back immediately, and then the remaining approximately 300,000 would be credited against the future years. And as the payment schedule reads in the agreement, they would start paying again in the month of July of 2027. So that would, take us then to them basically paying the city $250,000 a year. There's, maybe some discussion about indexing that to CPI or something in the future so that 10 years from now, it's not still the same number, but we're not proposing that at this time. So again, if approved, prior to the issuance of any rebate, we would confirm their actual tax amounts by reviewing each relevant utility bill. They have a great controller. She had submitted us a lot of good information, but we do need to do our due diligence and just confirm everything, trust but verify. So with that, staff's recommending approval of the ordinance and the agreement. Happy to take any questions.
Do you have anything to add, Mr. Dabrowski?
No, I think Josh summed it up very well. This is going to be one of the items that we'll be talking about at our meeting on Wednesday, and we'll go and have the graphics in more
Yeah,
detail.
okay, thank you. Any questions from council? Mr. Nutter?
Thank you. So my first question is this for gas only or gas and electric? It's for both?
All utility taxes.
So it's the water, gas, and electric,
Correct.
but yet we'll talk about it in the budget session then. We've got the revenue, we're gonna give some back, I get that, but then we'll discuss about how to split out all the revenue that we're gonna give them credit for, because we already have the money.
And we'll talk about that in a little bit more detail. And the graphics that we have here, it shows the breakout of each of these and just the volume that we'll see between the water portion, the gas portion, whatever, the aggregate, and it'll be a good discussion on this.
Okay, and I get it, we have to do it, it was something new. They made a mistake, we made a mistake, but we gotta correct it, that's the bottom line, so.
That's
we'll
correct.
Talk about it more on Wednesday. Thank you.
Yep, I think both parties were at fault a touch, so thank you.
So just so probably the public understands, the short version is, they overpaid what they were supposed to pay. We're going to get the money back to them. That's pretty much the bottom line, correct?
Yes.
Thank
That's it in
you.
a nutshell.
So my question to that is, why are we doing it two different ways? Why aren't we reimbursing them the entire amount? Why are we keeping a part of that?
I'll defer to Finance Director Dabrowski. Two things. Number one, there's a cash flow issue here. I mean, this is a large amount of money. Whether we had budget for it or not is a different question of whether we have the cash for it, and we don't want to dip below the city's general fund cash balance policy. Number two, I don't think there's going to be any other claims for reimbursement this fiscal year, but there could be. And so we want to retain some of that reimbursement authority in the budget, just in case another industrial user or somebody else comes in and says, hey, over the last 3 months, I've overpaid by $200,000 and you owe me reimbursement per your ordinance. So we want to have a little bit of security and not just completely spend everything. And Alto was, perfectly fine with that. They originally wanted the full reimbursement. We kind of said, well, how about we just do what you're owed right now and we'll credit everything else. And then we kind of met in the middle.
I just struggle with that. I asked several questions about this when it originally got approved back a year and 4 months or 5 months ago, however long it's been. I knew that was going to be an issue, and now it is an issue, and so the money we're keeping, that we're just going to credit them, that's still overpayment money that they shouldn't have paid, correct?
That's
And that was
basically
one of the
accurate.
questions I asked back when this originally got approved. What's the city gonna do with all that money that you're not even supposed to be collecting because you put a cap on it?
Yeah, so the
Are
way
we
that,
investing that money?
presumably it's in with our other equity and pooled cash, but yeah, I mean, the way that we wrote the ordinance was that we protected the city from, 2 years from now, somebody comes in and says, hey, I've overpaid by 300 grand, and we're gonna say, well, like, time's passed. But in Alto's case, I think there was a sincere misunderstanding of how this was going to go. I mean, they first reached out to the utility companies and said, why have you been charging me this tax? And the utility company said, that's not up to us. You need to talk to the city. So,
They weren't sent any letters or phone calls? They had no idea that tax was coming at them?
well, they certainly did. I mean, the CEO was at the city council meeting
Yeah.
and, you know, sent it to him. So like I said, I think that they certainly should have had a responsibility to be checking on this. I'll say I should have had an extra responsibility to, with our largest employer in town, make sure that they understood how it was gonna work, and, you know, we failed at that on our end.
So then how was it derived at as far as how much you were gonna directly pay them back and how much you're keeping? How'd you come up with those numbers?
It was just a back and forth with Alto. So there's a certain amount that, if this agreement is not approved, there's a certain amount that we still do owe them that is a little less than $500,000. And they wanted the full $1 million. We kind of met in the middle.
Okay, that's all I have, thank you.
Any other council? Madam Clerk, call the roll, please.
Councilmember Abel.
Aye.
Councilmember Nutter.
Aye.
Councilmember Hilst.
Aye.
Councilmember Fletcher.
Aye.
Mayor Burris. Oh, I'm sorry, Councilmember Phillips. I
Aye.
apologize. And then now, Mayor Burris.
Aye. Motion passes 6-0. Chair would now entertain a motion for 8.4, please.
Madam Mayor, I move that ordinance number 4342-25/26, approving and authorizing the execution of a Pekin Court Street Tax Increment Financing District Redevelopment Agreement with Jack Sangali and D. Sangali Enterprises, LLC, be approved.
Second.
Motion made by Mr. Fletcher and second by Mr. Abel. Mr. Dossi, once again.
Thank you, Mayor. Jack Sangali originally applied for the TIF Building Improvement Program earlier this summer, and EDAC recommended a $5,000 grant to them among the group of projects for the year. Mr. Sangali withdrew that application in favor of applying for a forgivable loan through the Return of Investment Program. He is seeking $100,000 to help perform renovations to his building at 2217 Court Street to reopen Sangali's Steakhouse, and he will have to generate $25,000 per year in sales taxes to the city each year for 4 years, or pay the difference if that falls short in a given year. If the business generates more than $25,000 in sales taxes to the city in a given year, the additional taxes will go towards additional forgiveness on the loan. The city will have a mortgage against the property that will be released upon full forgiveness or repayment of the $100,000. An additional note about this property, council is aware of a property acquisition and settlement from 2023 when the city paid $122,000 to Mr. Sangali for the property, loss of parking, and temporary construction easement during the Court Street project. During negotiations, several other expenses Mr. Sangali would incur related to the city's project were considered, including restriping of the parking lot, relocation of 2 signs, relocation of 5 light poles, reposition 1 Ameren pole, repair, replacement of fencing, repair of sanitary sewer lateral line. Therefore, none of those aforementioned expenses would be considered for TIF reimbursement per Section A of this agreement. And Josh would be available for further questions.
Council. Mr. Hilst.
So all the work out there, has that been completed, or is there still work to be done?
There is still some parking lot work that needs to be done behind the building, as well as to the west side of the building, and a fence needs to be installed with the dumpster enclosure behind the building. They're just waiting on city coal and asphalt schedule to free up.
Okay, and the funding source for this obviously sits in the Court Street TIF district. It's being considered a Court Street TIF district redevelopment project. The line item shows that it's going to be paid out of the Court Street TIF district. However, when you scroll down to Section 4, it says, "The city hereby authorizes the reimbursement of the developer's TIF-eligible project costs provided for in the redevelopment agreement attached hereto be paid from real estate tax increment revenues generated in the Pekin South Industrial Park TIF district.
Which
So
page are you
what,
on,
where
sir?
is this being paid out of?
That's just a typo from Jake McCline, using a prior agreement, I'm sure. We can, if council's fine with it, we can call that a Scrivener's error and change that to reflect Court Street TIF. That's what it should be, is Court Street TIF district only. If you'd like to make a formal amendment to the ordinance, I'm sure Attorney Vasselli can
Well-
make sure we do that properly.
Okay, and I appreciate that because there's been a couple other instances here recently where
Sure.
that actually has happened.
Sure.
And there's been no transfers made from one TIF district to the other on that. So I just wanted to verify
Yeah, it
that
should be
everybody's aware of that and see for sure what funding source we're using for that. So appreciate that.
So, Mr. Hilst, you're good with just making the correction, having them just make the correction?
Yep, until I see the account payable report, see where
That's
the
fine.
payment came from.
Okay. Are you good with that, Mr. Ray?
Absolutely.
Okay, thank you. Any other counsel? Mr. Abel?
Just as a comment, I think I've been asked more about this project, when it's going to open, than anything at East Court Village. A lot of local people know Jack, and they know they've been waiting, so
That part is true.
that's a good thing.
No, just about daily I get, when is Marshall's opening?
Yeah.
So, okay. Madam Clerk, take the call, or roll call, please.
Councilmember Nutter?
Aye.
Councilmember Fletcher?
Aye.
Councilmember Phillips?
Abstain.
Councilmember Abel?
Aye.
Councilmember Hilst?
No.
Mayor Burris?
Aye. So motion passes 4-1 with one abstain. Yep. Okay. Chair would now entertain a motion for 8.5, please.
Madam Mayor, I move that ordinance number 4343-25/26 approving and authorizing the execution of a Pekin East residential tax increment financing district redevelopment agreement with Martin R. and Kim S. Duda be approved.
Second.
Motion made by Mr. Fletcher and second by Mr. Nutter. Once again, Mr. Dossi.
Thank you, Mayor. Martin and Kim Duda recently acquired the property at 27 Osprey Court, and they are seeking incentives under the residential development TIF policy. The project is a new home with a total investment of over $700,000, $48,900 of TIF eligible expenses. Under the existing residential incentive policy, the total incentive given from the TIF fund will be up to $48,900 in property tax increment rebates over a period not to exceed 10 years.
Okay.
The actual incentive given will be based on the eligible expenses incurred in the new property assessment after project completion. Staff recommends approval of this ordinance, and Josh Ray would be available for further questions.
Council have any questions, or do we want Mr. Ray to talk about anything? Madam Clerk, roll call.
Councilmember Hilst?
No.
Councilmember Nutter?
Aye.
Councilmember Abel?
Aye.
Councilmember Phillips?
Aye.
Councilmember Fletcher?
Aye.
Mayor Burris?
Aye. Motion passes 5-1. Chair would now entertain a motion for 8.6, please.
Madam Mayor, I move that ordinance number 4344-25/26, authorizing the mayor to negotiate and execute an easement agreement with Tower Point Acquisitions LLC in accordance with their letter of intent.
Second.
Motion made by Mr. Fletcher and second by Mr. Abel. Mr. Dossi.
Thank you, Mayor. I'm going to have Josh go ahead and present this. This is a little bit involved.
Okay. Mr. Ray.
Thank you, Mayor. I apologize for the long request for action. Cell towers are just a little bit of a Abyss, and I wanted to make sure we got the details out there for council.
Okay.
The city
I appreciate
currently
that.
has an interest as the landlord in a lease agreement for the cell tower site at our wastewater treatment plant on Front Street. It is with T-Mobile, but it's through a company called Crown Castle, and their LLC is in there. It's about 1,800 square feet and earns somewhere around $26,000, $27,000 a year for the city based on the payments for both the base lease, and we have a revenue share for any additional tenants that go on the tower. That lease is currently, if the cell tower, if T-Mobile decided to take all optional extensions on the lease at their discretion, it would go through November 30th of 2040. TowerPoint is a private company that specializes in the real estate and management of telecommunication sites. They have offered to purchase the city's interest in the lease, not the actual land itself. The city would still own the land. But they would purchase our interest in the lease for a set fee of $325,000. And then they would also split revenue with any new business that they brought to that tower. Otherwise, they would start receiving, the monthly cash flow rent that that tower pays. They would also want to bring an additional 500 square feet of lease space to that area. It's kind of in the corner of the treatment plant, and Public Works Director Graham could speak to it a little bit better, but my understanding is that we are not concerned about that land being used for the cell towers. It's not like the fire station site where it's really in the way. It is just off in the corner.
Okay.
So in receiving that kind of offer, staff also approached T-Mobile about extending their lease or making a similar lump sum payment for a 99-year lease or similar. Their best lump sum offer was only about $45,000 compared to $325,000, far less than TowerPoint. And their best offer for a lease extension was just to extend those 5-year options through 2065, so an extra 25 years at a 3% escalator and a $200 per month increase effective in 2035. With that extension, and that, remember, that extension is if they decide to take all of the optional extensions. So with that, the net present value of the lease would increase from about $250,000 to $750,000. But, at least my opinion is that's a really big if they're gonna take all of those extensions through 2065. They would have to take the 5-year extensions through at least 2045 in order to kind of match TowerPoint's offer. If T-Mobile does not take all of those options, the value of the lease decreases and TowerPoint starts to look more profitable. So there's, several points of analysis here. I think, perhaps the important one that council kind of needs to concern itself with is that right now, if you want to put it a certain way, TowerPoint is willing to pay the city for 19 years worth of lease payments when there's only 15 years left on the lease. If the tower decides to maintain the lease for all that time, they could give us notice that, tomorrow, like this term, they're ending, and then we would have no revenue beyond November of this year. So the question becomes, is the city willing to take an assured $325,000 plus any apparent other revenue share that may occur, or would you prefer to keep the cash flow on a monthly and yearly basis from the tower company as it stands? This ordinance, if approved, would allow the mayor to sign the letter of intent that's included in the packet and negotiate an acceptable easement agreement with TowerPoint to effectuate that letter of intent. And we're happy to discuss anything. I will say, honestly, staff does not have a strong recommendation to go one way or another. It ultimately just comes down to kind of looking in that crystal ball and deciding what we think the future is going to hold. I will say that there's been a lot of interest in telecommunication sites recently, but as we talked with a representative from one of the major carriers last week, they were starting to see that rents were coming down, and perhaps in 15 or 20 years, people were starting to believe in the industry that the infrastructure was not going to be the same and that towers may not even be around anymore. So that's kind of the impetus for bringing this forward to council, is this might be the right time to kind of cash out, if you will. Mr. Dabrowski, Mr. Grogan, Mr. Dossi might, add to that, but ultimately, at least I do recommend that you do it because I think it frees up some strategic cash with very little risk.
Okay. Council.
I would just like to say that I do think this is one of those that, according to my crystal ball, will probably be better off saying yes now.
I would have to agree with you.
And if Mayor, if I could, I mean,
Yes.
one of the hedges that we kind of have is, you know, the kind of classic example of cashing out now and that being a bad decision was when the city of Chicago sold its parking meters, and now there's, you know, they sold it for way cheap compared to what the revenue is. Well, that's not necessarily our case. I mean, if in 15 years cell towers are booming, there are sites all around the city on city property that we could have additional towers built and recoup that, you know, lost revenue, if you will. So I think that that particular risk is mitigated okay
Yeah.
in this type of industry.
Thank you. Okay.
My opinion is I would rather take the risk and keep the annual revenue coming in rather than taking the one lump sum and then that money will be gone probably real quick. And then if, for whatever reason, they continue with those contracts for 20, 30, 40 more years, we're going to be losing out on all that revenue down the road. Once you get out of it, you're never going to be able to get back in it. And I just struggle with selling that out right now. Yeah, I would support to just keep the annual revenue rolling in. That's my opinion on that.
Mr. Nutter.
My first thought was, somebody wants to offer you that much money over and above, that's a red flag to me. Why do they want to do that? They're going to make more money than who knows what. The other thing, okay, we get the 325, and I concur with Mr. Hilst. Where's that money going to go? It's going to go poof. Unless we decide to earmark it somewhere, that it's going to go somewhere. But we haven't done a very good job of even doing that. I'd rather see us maintain the annual revenue, because how about 5 years from now, maybe they still want to buy it. There's always that option. Just because we said no, okay. I'd rather have the cash flow coming in, because the other side of that equation is, how do you make up that revenue source? Where are you going to get it from? We don't do a very good job on finding revenue either. So the other option is cut all your expenses. So I'm not in favor of this. I'm going to vote against it.
Anyone else?
My question would be to the professionals. Eric, what do you think? You're the finance director.
On this one, I'm fairly agnostic.
Nope, that doesn't work.
It's strategic.
Second
it's a
answer.
question of the, what's the technology going to look like in the future? Now, by default, I tend to be more conservative on these things where I like an annuity. I like things coming out on an annual basis. That's my personal preference. But again, if that technology changes, and you've seen the pace with the way the technology has been changing as of late, it becomes difficult. Again, I lean more to the annuity side, but that's just my own personal preference.
Thank you.
And just, I guess to throw a little extra in there, there's something going on in the industry right now, because there's all of a sudden a lot of interest in property and towers, and getting away from the tower owners to come in and build their own towers. So there's something going on. So is there opportunity? We haven't quite, it's not our bread and butter, so to speak. So
Once
we're
again,
trying to figure it out.
Once again, it's something that the can be kicked down the road, right? We could make a decision, they can come back 6 months from now or a year from now. Like Rick said, maybe they offer more money if the climate's right. Thank you for your answer, Eric.
But what if they offer less? I know, it's a chance we take.
It's a coin flip.
I guess one other kind of piece of information, just as like Mr. Manager Dossi said, we've started to see interest, which makes you think that, okay, maybe the value of these things are going to go up because we're seeing a lot of interest. I think it's actually going to be the reverse, because the interest is because, and they're telling us this, the tower companies are charging too much, the rents are too high, so all of the carriers are trying to leave these towers
Yeah.
and either build their own, or just,
Yeah.
they're just getting out of the tower business altogether. Dish, which is one of the carriers on this tower, recently announced that they're gonna get out of it altogether. So actually, that tenant is going to roll off at some point off of this tower, and our rent will go down. So that's why I think it's, and again, I'm not saying this with a strong opinion, but I think it's relevant to definitely consider this, because I do think the value of this type of tower is going down, is what it seems.
Yeah. Well, technology is changing so much, and I think we should take the risk now and do it now, but that's my opinion too. Mr. Abel?
For what it's worth, if this muddies the water, I'm sorry, but last week there was we sent a spaceship up. They said it was going to display 365 satellites. And they were talking about that's the most they've ever put up at one time. And jokingly, the guy, one of the commentators said, this could be your cell tower in 5-10 years. Satellite to phone, no in between, so to speak. You wouldn't have to go. I mean, he was maybe just I'm not sure he was a scientist, but he just said that could be, you'll skip the tower, you'll go phone to satellite, and that's it. So I'm just
Yeah.
throwing it out there.
I get it. I get it. Okay.
And, may I?
Yeah, Ms. Phillips?
I appreciate what everyone's saying. I think we all have good points on this, and that's why you come down and you say, what do you think our risk versus benefit might be? And it's always hard when we can't tell the future. One thing I didn't hear anyone mention when we were talking about future cash flow is that I do believe the agreement does, we would get some future cash flow if we sell this to them now and they get new renters. We're not completely lost on it. And I kind of feel like that guarantee itself there is worth some value that wasn't put into the cost of the present value, because we don't know what it is. But we also don't know that they would continue to do these 5-year options for the next 20 years.
Okay.
And if they did get new customers on there, maybe they've already got some sort of inside information that somebody's interested in that. If the city gets it, we would get 100% of that revenue rather than 50%, right?
Well, not exactly. So we don't own the tower, so we can't court a new tenant to it. I suppose we could introduce them to the tower owner, but ultimately we have a revenue share already in the agreement with the tower owner. So if a new tenant goes on the tower, we still only get a portion of that. And I'll also say that we're just, like, our staff is not good at this. Like, we're not going out and soliciting people to telecom companies to add on to towers in the city. Maybe we could be, but it's not something we do. But yeah, it would be a revenue split either way.
Okay. I think we're ready. Are you ready, Madam Clerk?
I am, yes.
Roll call.
Councilmember Phillips.
Aye.
Councilmember Fletcher.
Aye.
Councilmember Nutter.
Nay.
Councilmember Abel.
Aye.
Councilmember Hilst.
No.
Mayor Burris.
Aye. Motion passes 4-2. Chair would now entertain a motion for 8.7, please.
Madam Mayor, I move that resolution number 340-25/26, approving a professional service agreement with Giffen Reese Engineering for city engineering services, be approved.
Second.
Motion made by Mr. Abel and second by Mr. Nutter. Mr. Dossi.
Thank you, Mayor. Before the council is a resolution to approve a professional service agreement with Giffen Reese Engineering to serve as city engineer for the city of Pekin. Staff recently completed a formal request for qualification process in accordance with city procurement policy to select an engineering firm to provide day-to-day engineering services for the city. 3 firms submitted packets for consideration by a review board of staff. After a thorough review, Giffen Reese Engineering received the highest score and is the recommendation from staff. The attached service agreement in Exhibit A will provide engineering services to the city for 5 years at a flat rate of $240,000 per year. The scope of work for this agreement is robust and meets all of the routine daily operations of the city engineer position. Any additional engineering services that may be required will be completed through a task order, providing access to more complex engineering services through the staff of Giffen Reese Engineering, Hanson Professional Services, and Millennia Professional Services. Staff is recommending approval of this resolution. Simon is available. Mr. Reese is here for questions as well. And I believe there might have been a question already, and I'll let Simon answer it in regards to the scoring process.
Yep. Madam Mayor,
Yes,
if you could,
please,
I'll
Mr. Grimm,
start with
yes.
that, please. So with the review of each of the 3 packets, the board consisted of myself, Mr. Nick McQuett, and Mr. Josh Ray, reviewing them independently. Each packet was scored based off of 7 criteria: firm experience and staff qualifications, services provided, local office location, availability for identified public and staff meetings, conflicts of interest, billing policy structure, with the actual cost being negotiated after selection, and then any other relevant information provided. So after review and totaling up, the scores out of a total of 105 points with accumulation, Farnsworth scored 92, Fair Graham scored 92 as well, and Giffen Reese scored 99.
Okay.
Can you elaborate just a little bit on how the 99 was reached above the 92s? I mean, which one of them criteria was a higher score to get the total higher?
The local office was one of the higher categories for Giffen Reese, being within Pekin. Fair Graham has one in East Peoria, and then Farnsworth would be a Peoria location. So a little bit outside of town, but the local office for Giffen Reese. The other in experience as well. A lot of the local experience that Giffen Reese has worked for the city previously and worked on some projects as well.
Any other questions from council?
Yeah, I got one more. So says so it's seems to be, I guess, somewhat an agreement with about 3 different firms, including Hanson and Millennia. Teamed up with Hanson, support with Millennia. And then it says any extra engineering work will be through a task order, which would be an extra cost, correct?
Correct, yes.
So this 240,000 is just for Mr. Reese, and anything Hanson or Millennia does is going to be an extra cost on top of that?
If it's through a task order. Now, he's got the ability on day-to-day type operations to reach back. But if we were to ask for something, if we wanted a design of a parking lot, say, for instance, we'd initiate that task order process, which would come to council for approval prior to execution. So you'd see any additional costs.
But don't we already have a master engineering plan in place with firms that we've agreed to with that?
For specific projects, but not for day-to-day operations.
Okay, that's where that difference rolls in, okay. What about, since this is only part-time, says 20 to 25 hours, the previous city engineer that was actually an employee was a full-time employee for less money, and this is a 5-year contract. So should we just presume that we're not planning on posting another job for the city engineer position for 5 years?
If we wanted to keep that open, that would be a possibility. However, we had limited responses to the previous job posting, and it's something we could discuss.
And I think it's important to point out that
Yeah.
several communities are kind of going through the same thing. It's kind of like attorneys. It's a specialty. Engineer, you got design, you got structural, you have all kinds of different types of engineering plans. For example, Peoria, I thought they had engineering on staff. They're doing the same thing that we're looking at doing now. Right now, they've outsourced. They have a design, they have a structural engineer, they have different firms they've hired to handle these different positions. So that's kind of where you're at. And as far as our hiring process, yeah, we did post it. We were getting kids right out of school that aren't even qualified to be licensed because they have to work so many years with a licensed engineer just to be eligible to get their licensing. So we weren't getting the qualified candidate to be that engineer to come in. So we struggled with that, and I think it was a handful. It was like maybe 6 or 7 that applied, and it sat out there for a long time, and nobody else was applying for it. So most everybody's working with the firm to get their state licensure credits or whatever they call it to get. And maybe Justin can speak up a little bit more on it, just what the trend is in that industry. But that's what we've kind of identified, and that's why we started looking in this direction.
And I'll add to that just for, we are working on kind of growing our own. So our current engineer tech is going through school, but that's a multi-year process. So potentially 6 years earliest, he'd be in a position to where he could fulfill that role.
Okay, and then the last thing I had, it said something in there about the ADA coordinator was going to be an in-house employee. Is that you, the Public Works Director?
It currently is Mr. Huffnagel, the tech, but I have the ability to support that role as well. And then Justin provide technical advice on that.
Yeah, and the intention is Mr. Huffnagel will remain the ADA coordinator with the support, and there's other people who will be getting training as well.
Okay, appreciate it. That's all I have. Thank you.
Anyone? Mr. Abel?
I think what jumped out at me was the fact that Giffen, Reese, Hanson, and Millennia all have worked with the city. They're familiar with the staff, the city. That's a big plus. There's no learning curve. They're ready to go on day one. So that was important to me.
And our projects they're being lit up. I love it. Yeah. Thank you. Mr. Nutter?
So I want to ask about the task order thing. And I'm going to use the project that we're going to develop in the detention pond. So is the intent to use, if this passes, that we would be using Giffen Reese, and that would come back as a task order if they do design work? Is that correct?
Correct.
And that task order will also have the dollar amount assigned to it based on the hourly rate or?
Hourly rate, yes.
Okay. Similar to, we had engineering, we'd go to the outside, put an RFP.
Right.
And do that, but now we've got the expertise in-house to do it.
Correct.
Okay. The other one is just a comment about the salaries of and this may be off a little bit, but if you take into consideration what we were paying our city engineer and what we were paying the engineering tech at the time, you're looking at, with benefits, close to $200,000 and some $1,000 just for 2 people. That doesn't talk about vehicles or anything else that goes along with that. So if you escalate that 3% over 5 years, you're up to almost $300,000 in wages and benefits over that time period, and he's going to leave it at $240,000. I need to check his temperature because I think something's wrong with him. So, no, I appreciate that you're keeping it that constant rate for 5 years, because it makes it a whole lot easier to budget that way. There's no doubt, except for the task orders.
Sure.
So, thank you.
Anyone else? Madam Clerk, call the roll, please.
Councilmember Hilst?
Aye.
Councilmember Abel?
Aye.
Councilmember Nutter?
Aye.
Councilmember Fletcher?
Aye.
Councilmember Phillips?
Aye.
Mayor Burris?
Aye. Motion passes 6-0. Once again, I do want to say that our street work is really looking amazing. And when I hear from other mayors that visit our city and they comment on what great work is going on Court Street, they can't believe it. So thank you once again. We appreciate it. Chair would now entertain a motion for 8.8, please.
Madam Mayor, I move that resolution number 341-25/26, approving an agreement for fiscal year 2026 sewer lining with Hare Construction Incorporated be approved.
Second.
Motion made by Mr. Abel and second by Ms. Phillips. Mr. Dossi.
Thank you, Mayor. This request is to award the contract for the fiscal year 2026 sewer lining project to Hare Construction in the amount of $97,250. This project includes lining of sewers on Summer Street, Herman Street, and West Shore Drive. The project bid amount also includes $20,000 worth of contingency-based T&M to address any unforeseen conditions or potential point repairs. These locations were determined to need repair based on sewer televising completed by the street department. The project is intended to secure the existing sanitary sewers from further deterioration and to extend the life of these sewers. The city received one bid from Hare Construction. This bid has been reviewed and has been determined to be a reasonable bid for the proposed sewer lining work. It is staff's recommendation that this project be awarded to Hare Construction, and the Public Works Director, Simon Grimm, is available for further questions.
Council.
I-
Mr. Nutter.
Yeah, I know, it's hard to believe I have a question, I know.
Is your mic on?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes.
There you go.
So what's the time frame? I tried to look in the contract. It said there was time frames in there, and I can't find it. So are they supposed to start at a certain time and then have it completed by the end of the fiscal year into next year? I looked at it, trying to find it under the agreements, and I could have missed it. So just curious when it's going to start and when it's going to end.
I'm going to refer to our new city engineer.
Oh, is that effective immediately?
Hot seat.
It is now.
Mr. Reese?
Yeah, the intent was to schedule it with the contractor. We didn't want to drive costs up by giving a specific timeline. It's to be completed at the earliest convenience of the contractor, and we'll work with Hare to get that scheduled. We've spoken with them, and they have time to get it on their books.
Good. They're a good contractor for this, so,
They've done a number of projects
Oh.
with the city of Pekin.
yeah, 5 pages worth of what we've done, so, okay.
Any other council? Are you okay?
Yeah, excuse me.
Any other council? Madam Clerk, call the roll, please.
Councilmember Fletcher?
Aye.
Councilmember Phillips?
Aye.
Councilmember Abel?
Aye.
Councilmember Hilst?
Aye.
Councilmember Nutter?
Aye.
Mayor Burris?
Aye. Motion passes 6-0. Chair would now entertain a motion for 8.9, please.
Madam Mayor, I move that resolution number 342-25/26, approving annual network licensing and subscription renewals be approved.
Second.
Go ahead.
Motion made by Mr. Abel, second by Mr. Nutter. Mr. Dossi.
Thank you, Mayor. This is a request for the expenditure of budgeted funds to cover our annual network maintenance, including software upgrades, firmware patches, and security definition updates. Without this expenditure, we would remain static from a network security standpoint, leaving us vulnerable to outside threats. Staff is recommending approval of this, and Mr. Hess would be available if there's any questions from council.
Okay. Council. Madam Clerk, call the roll, please.
Councilmember Hilst?
Aye.
Councilmember Abel?
Aye.
Councilmember Nutter?
Aye.
Councilmember Fletcher?
Aye.
Councilmember Phillips?
Aye.
Mayor Burris?
Aye. Motion passes 6-0. Chair would now entertain a motion for 8.10, please.
Madam Mayor, I move that we adopt resolution number 343-2526, approving an intergovernmental agreement providing membership in the Illinois Public Works Mutual Aid Network.
Second?
Motion made by Ms. Phillips and second by Mr. Abel. Mr. Dossi.
Thank you, Mayor. The City of Pekin has been a member of the Illinois Public Works Mutual Aid Network since its inception in 2009. The Board of Directors recently approved a revised intergovernmental agreement, which is attached in Exhibit A. This new agreement has three major changes from the previous agreement. One is the clarification that mutual aid is not just for emergencies, allowing for members to assist each other with the provision of equipment and personnel on a day-to-day basis. Two, it removes the not-for-profit corporate entity of the previous agreement, streamlining the organization and eliminating issues related to asset ownership, liability, and tort immunity. And three, it provides a revised process for any future amendments, allowing any member to propose an amendment to the Board of Directors to be voted on for approval. Staff has reviewed the new intergovernmental agreement, has found no issues, and recommends approval. And Simon's available for further questions from council.
Council, or do you have any questions for Mr. Simon? Seeing none, council, take your vote, please. Or, excuse me, Madam Clerk, call the roll.
Councilmember Nutter?
Aye.
Councilmember Hilst?
Aye.
Councilmember Phillips?
Aye.
Councilmember Fletcher?
Aye.
Councilmember Abel?
Aye.
Mayor Burris?
Aye. Motion passes 6-0. We have now come down to item 811. Chair would entertain a motion, please.
Madam Mayor, I move that we adopt resolution number 344-2526, authorizing the city manager to enter into an electric aggregation supplier agreement.
Second?
Motion made by Ms. Phillips and second by Mr. Nutter. Mr. Dossi, once again.
Thank you, Mayor. This one's near and dear to everyone's heart, and I'm going to talk to Josh about his keyboard here. He puts a lot of words on these, so I'm going to let him go ahead and speak to this. That's his punishment.
I can make it shorter if you want. Yeah, a lot of this is repeat from the agenda item earlier this calendar year, just to make the public aware if they were to read this or the new council members. Essentially, the city operates electric aggregation agreement for all residential and small business customers. We collect the buying power of the community and go out to bid to try to get good prices for the community for a contract, so that they are not subject to the ups and downs of the energy market. Historical data does show that the aggregation market, particularly with our current brokers, Good Energy, does benefit the community in the long run and provides consistency for the average household budget to avoid those large changes in electricity costs. At this time, Good Energy, who by the way is here tonight, and they are available to kind of talk through the particulars of the market. But at this time, they believe the conditions are such that there are probably going to be additional large increases in electricity costs come next summer. Our current aggregation program was only for 10 months to get us back online with a larger buying group in central Illinois, so it ends after May. So we're talking about a new contract that would start then in June of next year and continue for, what, I think 2 years is the plan? Just 1 year? 12 months, okay. Again, Good Energy can speak to the reasoning and any questions you have. But there's two key reasons to act now. Number one, the city should get a contract done before Ameren makes their purchase for the next year. Ameren typically purchases a large amount of the capacity, and that could definitely change things, probably for the worse. I mean, there's only a certain amount of available supply, and once they make a purchase, that is a lot less. Also, Good Energy is starting to see bids and contracts with variable pricing. So I think variable interest rate on like a student loan, not something that we probably want to get into if we can avoid it. So this resolution would authorize the city manager to enter into a new aggregation contract, again, effective after the current one ends in June of '26. with a maximum price of 13.2 cents per kilowatt hour. That is higher than the current aggregation contract that is at 10.88, as well as Ameren's current summer rate at 12.18. But again, Good Energy strongly believes that the Ameren rates could increase up to the 15s or 16s next summer. They were right about it this summer before the announcement came out that it was going to get up into the 12s. And so I tend to trust their advice. They are the much more sincere experts in this market than we are. And if you've ever talked to somebody in the world of stocks and bonds, they know a lot more about it than the average person does. And these guys certainly know more about it than we do. So I would invite them up to kind of talk through the market conditions and their recommendation to act now rather than later.
Welcome.
Thank you, Jared McMorris, Good Energy.
Good evening, Philip Bridgman. Good evening, Jared McMorris and Philip Carr from Good Energy. Just like a little overview. Yeah, Madam Mayor, thank you for having us this evening.
Yeah, thank you.
Nice to
Welcome.
see you all again. We're in a situation here in Southern Illinois where so the coal plant is a bit of repetition from earlier this year, but also some new information. So where the coal plants mostly being retired, there's a few left online, and really we look at this just through a very practical lens, as in like we're focused on reliability and pricing, and how pricing is affected by reliability. There is a supply-demand sort of imbalance at the moment. I'm sure you've all read about the AI data centers, which are coming online. Something like 95% of load growth, which is huge load growth, is going to come from data centers. So with the coal plants retiring, most of the new generation is coming from renewables. I'm leading up to something here. Now, there is kind of a dampener on the renewables. So regardless of the intermittency of the renewables, at least it was something. So, and we're seeing renewables being taken out of the interconnection queue into the grid. What we have is a situation where the grid in central and southern Illinois is fundamentally challenged by supply and demand imbalance. And we're kind of like a cork bobbing in a storm right now. When this program first started, it was pretty straightforward. We were like, hey, we think we can arbitrage savings for you all. And so now we're in a situation whereby we're trying to just give you a safe harbor. So it is, it's incredible and disappointing to see the price increases.
Yeah.
What we would like to do is to give you a safe harbor and some protection and option, so you don't just have the utility rate. So we have real concerns about the rates for next summer. Things seem to be getting worse, not better. And I'm afraid what we do, our job is to act on what we can see, not on what we want to see, right? The reason we're looking to go into pricing now is what we saw last year was our real concern, and one of the prime drivers right now is the cost of capacity. Capacity is part of your energy price. It's what you pay generation to be there when you need it. We have been in central and southern Illinois, been actually pulling some capacity from a different grid, PJM. That grid also has its capacity issues now as well. And and as we saw last year, as you get closer to the auction for capacity, is that prices seem to just go up because the fear sets in. Now, we operate with independent suppliers who provide capacity, pricing. We have one of our main suppliers has pulled their pricing for next summer already. We have never seen that before, right? So luckily we have a couple of other suppliers, and we only are looking at the most reputable suppliers. There's plenty of onesie twosies. We're bidding with, these are Fortune 200 companies, that we source pricing from. So what we are doing is we're looking to lock in a rate for next summer that will protect you. We have no idea what the ceiling could be on pricing. What we can do is lock you into a rate, which would be very similar to the surrounding area. And if pricing spikes, as it could well do, you're protected. If it doesn't spike, then people can leave. But what you do have is you have an option, and you have an insurance policy. And I wish I could sit here and give you some great news. I don't. What I can is I can give you a plan. So at least you have protection for your community, and people have options. So we would advise moving forward with this, and we're going to go with a 12-month. If you decide to move forward, we think that's a good step. And then take it from there. Any questions? Oh, Jared, sorry. You want to add something here?
Oh, you were good. And you sound a lot better than me, too.
Well, we appreciate it. Thank you so much. Council, do you have any questions?
Mayor, if I could real quick, I just want to interject one thing. Philip mentioned data centers. I don't want the public to be terribly concerned. I mean, there's been a lot of discussion about a technology park coming to Pekin, which would include data centers. When we say a data center is coming to Pekin, whether it comes to Pekin or another community in Illinois or any community in the entire MISO region, which is 15 states plus some Canadian provinces, if it goes anywhere in our grid, it's going to have the same effect on Pekin's electricity costs. So that's just something, since it was brought up, I want to mention. We're not going to stop it if it doesn't come here. They'll just build somewhere else. So, I mean, my opinion would be to not conflate these two issues. If data centers are going to happen, we should at least reap some of the benefits from them and try to have one here rather than a state over and not reap any of the benefits, but still have the electricity issues. So it's larger than just data centers. Coal plants are closing, as they said.
That's right.
So I just wanted to just interject that point.
Thank you so much for clarifying that, because yes, there will be people that have picked up on just those two words. So thank you so much. Mr. Abel.
Is there any chance that these rates you talk about could be very high next year? Will that affect maybe hanging on to the few remaining coal plants we got left?
Well, yeah. It's so interesting you say that. So, if that was possible, that would be exactly the right thing to do. It's like turning around an aircraft carrier in like a small harbor. It's just that ship has sailed. You couldn't preserve them if you wanted to. So yeah, ideally you would have those, if for nothing else, as kind of like a backup generation when you need them.
Yeah.
But unfortunately, that's no longer an option.
I think there's been some attempts with this current administration to try to hold on to a coal plant in Wisconsin and maybe one in Pennsylvania, and neither one of them are able to continue.
We've got
The
one in our
effort
own
is-
backyard right down here.
Yes, you sure do.
We do.
But the effort is definitely, it'd be lovely, but it's, again, like Philip said, it's like trying to turn around an aircraft carrier. These things haven't been maintained for years. They knew when they were closing. There's 3 closing in 2025 in Ameren. And the last one closes in 28, and then they're all gone. That's the last one in 28. So there's only 2 that are going to be left between now and 28.
Sad. Mr.
So is the reason for the 12 months instead of farther out because it's too volatile for you guys to extend it any more than 12 months?
I mean, it is much harder to get pricing going further out. That's another indication. So if we felt it was the right thing to do, we would encourage 24 months. But for now, we would recommend 12.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Mr. Nutter.
Thank you, because every time this comes up, we all get smarter, most of the time. So my first question, this rate is the average rate for all year, not a summer winter rate like
Yes, sir.
Ameren
Yes,
does,
sir.
correct?
Yes, sir.
Next thing is, are we going to go through the same disappointing communication problem that we had the last time? Do I opt in, opt out? I understand the state statute, year in, you have to opt out. Are we going to have to go through this again with this process?
Yes, sir. There will be an opt-out period. Yes, sir.
So you're going to send letters to everybody again?
Yes, sir.
If you want to stay, because that's the question we're going to get. I got the letter, what does that mean? Well, here's what it means. So the more we understand, we can answer those questions, hopefully, to the best of our ability.
Yes, sir.
The other thing that kind of concerns me is the financial impact. City finances is only for small business and residential electricity customers. Does that cover the city's property also, or is it just
So.
small business and residential?
So some of the city's facilities could be eligible to be an aggregation, but if you have a different third-party supply agreement, like any small business or any resident could go and get their own electricity contract, that would be different than Ameren and different than our aggregation program, and some people do. That's essentially what the city does. We also have Good Energy on our behalf.
Sure.
Get the best pricing that we can, and if it's, if it comes out that we go get pricing this time and it's worse than our aggregation program, maybe we'll just join the aggregation program.
Okay.
Yeah, and to your point, one of the discussions we had, because we know some of the local businesses have inquired, in particular took a hit from Ameren during the summer. They do offer that for them, and we have had conversations, so we're going to try to set that up through the chamber and let them kind of lead the way for them to, if they want to have Good Energy go out and, seek that bid for them, they could do that.
So to piggyback on that, so when we talk about small commercial accounts, these are accounts that use 15,000 kilowatt hours or less per year, which is a very small commercial business. Restaurants, et cetera, are going to be using hundreds of thousands of kilowatt hours. So what we've seen on the news this summer, we can help them individually, just like we do for the city. We can run their own separate contract or their own separate bid. But this would be small insurance agencies, businesses that are not even run out of the home, because that would then be residential. But approximately 10% of your entire participation is small businesses. And the small business rate is 14.5 this summer. So your rate at 10.7, what was it, Josh?
10.78.
Sorry, 10.78, is over almost 4 cents better. So that's significant for those really small commercial businesses. And then lastly, my follow-up then on if we could go longer, the issue is we could sell the energy for 2 years, but we can't get the capacity. And that's the ability to sell, and that's the reason why one of our biggest suppliers right now is not even offering us prices. They don't have capacity. And so our fear is if we were to wait until February or March before a May renewal, there's not going to be any capacity available for you.
And when will this 12 months run?
Starting in June next year.
Okay.
Philip or Jared, could you just roughly, what's about the breakdown when you talk about summer rate versus winter rate, as far as people's usage go? I mean, is it people use, it's not even, right? People use more energy in the summer.
Yes. Yes, so the summer rates for Ameren, it is only 4 months. It's June through September. However, the usage is approximately, it's not 4 out of 12, essentially. It's almost half, if not more than half, of the entire usage on a yearly basis for residential and commercial.
Okay, thank you.
So I have a couple more questions.
Yes.
You stated this contract ends, I thought the contract ended, according to this document, May of 2026.
Sure.
So if we approve this tonight, we're going to be at the 13.2 level going from May of 26 through May of 27, correct?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So 13.2 is the cap,
Yes, sir.
and I'm going to be a wishful thinker. So
Yeah.
if it's under that,
Yep.
we're gonna negotiate at a lower number then, if by chance something would happen? Or we're gonna be locked in at 13.2 regardless?
Yes, sir. And you'll be locked in at 13.2 regardless.
Okay?
Yeah.
So real quick, I just want to make sure I understand your question. When they go out to bid, if the cheapest one comes in at 12.9, that's the one that we'll go with, and then the price will be 12.9 for
locked
the entire
in, yeah.
year. So 13.2 is just the maximum that the city manager would have the authority to enter into an agreement. If the bids come in lower than that, we'll certainly enter an agreement lower than that.
Okay. That's all I have. Thank you, gentlemen.
Thank you so much. Oh, excuse me, Mr. Hilst, don't leave yet.
So, back to what was just brought up a couple minutes ago, if this program wasn't in place here for the city of Pekin, individuals could still go out and get their electricity from any supplier that operates in the state, right?
Yes, sir, and they can do that at any time. They can leave the program at any time.
And there's
without
quite a few
cost.
of them, right?
Yes, sir.
Right. So they would still have a choice.
Yep.
Because I'm like with Mr. Nutter here. I get a lot of people every time this rolls around, they get frustrated, they get upset. They don't like the fact that they're being thrown into a program without agreeing to it and then turn around and have to opt out. Quite frankly, I agree with that. I don't like that myself. And I don't like the fact that, I know you guys don't have control over this, but now we've got a local Pekin city tax on our electricity too. And to me, when you tax the city's electricity bill locally and then try to lower their rates, that's almost like a double standard. It just defeats the whole purpose. So if we just get out of it, quit confusing the people, quit frustrating the people, and they would still have an opportunity on their own to go out and get a cheaper rate without the city even being involved in it. Is that correct?
Well, what I would say that they've always got the option to do that. I think there is some distinctive, I mean, this is, we live and breathe this, right?
Right.
So we see our role as trying to help our clients navigate a sort of uniquely challenging and changing energy environment.
Sure.
So we can present you with, a great strategy.
Yeah.
It's kind of like every single resident in your town has a top energy consultant working for them. That's the way I see it, which they can then decline the offer of. So we're literally out to help every one of your residents with a strategy. And candidly, like I said, if the price spikes next summer, then they're protected, and if they're not, they can leave. And they can always choose any other supplier. So it's a valuable option, but you're absolutely correct. People can choose another supply option whenever they want. Yes, sir.
Okay. That's all I have. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you very much. We appreciate you staying as long as you did. Thank you.
Yes, thank you.
Council, take your vote. I am so sorry. Once again, Madam Clerk, call the roll.
Councilmember Hills.
No.
Councilmember Abel.
Yes?
Councilmember Nutter.
Yes.
Councilmember Fletcher.
Aye.
Councilmember Phillips.
Aye.
Mayor Burris.
Aye. Motion passes 5-1. So once again, I want to say thank you for everything that you've done for the city of Pekin and for sticking around for our meeting. We have now come down to any other business to come before the council, and we're going to have to talk loud because this train's going to try to overtalk us, and we're not going to let them. Mr. Dossi.
Thank you, Mayor. I first want to thank staff. This past week, we all went to the IML conference in Chicago. There's a couple staff that took this opportunity. It's out of their comfort zone, but I think they took or brought back a lot from that. We had a lot of good discussions. I think some council, I'm very happy that some council attended because I think they get to hear it right from the experts that we talk to sometimes on a daily basis. But I want to just kind of point out, and I think for the public, is that this was kind of an opportunity for Pekin to shine because Thursday, which was the first full day of that conference, we were the talk in several of the classrooms on doing residential TIF right, and that how it progresses and helps build your city, as well as our labor law practices, and in light of how we've had to handle some issues within our own city and how we did it right, and using it as an example of how we lead in our community. And then recently, I think it was Thursday, Supreme Court decision came down in our favor on labor law practice as well, and it's going to set the tone throughout the entire state and further that we interpreted the laws right and handled it correctly. So a lot of kudos to the staff, and it was just refreshing to go there, and when you're seeing all the topics out there, you're the positive example that they're using. So that was a bonus. But I do want to thank everybody for their time away from home and spending all the days. I mean, they were long days in the classrooms, and that brings back more to help support the city of Pekin. It's a busy week. September 23rd, tomorrow, I make sure my dates are off here.
Yeah.
10:15, Chipotle is going to be having their grand opening. I know there's been a lot of chatter out there. People can't wait for it to open. Tomorrow's the day. The 24th, we will be having a budget workshop meeting at 9 a.m. here at the council chambers. Again, it's a high level just to kind of get some direction from council. Eric will be presenting that, and we'll go from there. September 25th, 7:45 to 8:15, Marshalls will be hosting their grand opening. And then later in the day on the 25th at 4:30, we are going to have a business after-hours ribbon cutting for Better Benefits Group. And then on September 26th, 7:30 a.m., you have the Pekin Chamber Business Breakfast at the Miller Center. And I believe there's
It's the rebranding of
rebranding
Walmart.
of Walmart.
8
yeah,
a.m.
At 8 a.m., their grand reopening or their rebranding. And I also want to make council aware, and we will be getting it out as well, but you should have a copy of the annual report. Paige completed that. So ADA is a thing with these types of reports that have to go out, and Paige is working on, she's struggling with changing something to make sure it is ADA compatible before we can put it out on the website. If somebody wants a hard copy of it, we can get that out, but before I want to officially release that out to the public, I'd like to have some input from the council. If you want anything changed or added, or if you believe we left something out, we can certainly add that. I think that's all I have. I don't know if there's any staff.
Well, before you do turn it over to staff or anyone else, I do want to say this annual report is very, very nice. I haven't been able to read all of it, but it's very nice. Well put together. I want to thank Paige for everything that she's done, but all the staff that has given the information so it can look this successful. But I do want to say a couple of things about IML and then as I came home. But IML, once again, was wonderful. And not even in some of the classrooms that we went to, out in the hall or when you met with people, just the networking, Pekin was the buzz. And when I had other mayors coming up to me and saying, your city is on fire, we are being noticed. And it's because of you, and it's because of this council. We are moving the city forward, and people are noticing. But then I left up there on Saturday morning at 4:30 a.m. so I could get back to Caterpillar's 100th year anniversary. So I was invited to a VIP ceremony first before the show went on. Show was fabulous. I hope that if people got to go, they got to see just how wonderful it was. But the special event that I got to go to was for elected officials, mayors, senators, congressmen, congresswomen, excuse me, and the CEO, the new CEO of Caterpillar. And when he personally went around to everybody and came up to me and said, Pekin, you're getting a data center. That's amazing. Do you know how much that will help Caterpillar itself? I said, yes. He said, anything that we can do. So I want to say, for the naysayers out there, I'm trying to change the attitude that people have about Pekin. And when the new CEO came up to me and said, anything that we can do, my response back to him is, I'd love a strong presence of Caterpillar in Pekin. So with that, I just want people to know that we are changing things. We are working very hard. And he himself had said that he will do whatever he can do, and I can call him at any time. So thank you very much for letting me rattle on. Any other staff? No staff. Mr. Hilst.
Yeah, just real quick, since that agenda item got approved earlier tonight to sell the lease on that cell tower and collect all that big chunk of money. And the fact that we had a strategic planning presentation, which shows that our number one goal is to maintain our roads, I'd like to get a feeling from the council on what everybody thinks about earmarking that money for road maintenance.
Well, do you think that should be brought up in our budget meeting on Wednesday?
Well, the reason I'm asking is if there's a consensus to do that, then I'll make a motion, or I'll make a request, I'm sorry, to put something on the agenda at the next meeting to vote on that.
Okay.
But, I mean, I got time to do that, I guess. If you want to wait and discuss that Wednesday morning, that's fine.
Yeah, I don't know. I just said that would maybe be the right time to bring it up. What's the rest of council think?
We can wait a Wednesday. Just get a discussion of everybody then.
Okay. Is that good, Mr. Dabrowski? You're finance director. I'm gonna lean on you.
No, that would be a perfect opportunity to discuss that.
Okay?
Okay.
Okay.
That's all I have, thank you.
All right. Mr. Nutter?
You're not going to believe this. Nothing tonight.
No.
I'm done. Thank you.
No. Okay. Ms. Phillips?
Madam Mayor, I'd like to go last.
Okay. Mr. Fletcher?
I don't have anything.
All
Thank
right.
you.
Mr. Abel?
Speaking of roads, we have a road fund in this state that I have found out has 3.3 billion with a B unused funds sitting in it. And it grows continuously because of our wonderful gas tax. And it's gotten, what I was told by somebody in Springfield, that there's even some groups trying to get a 6-month moratorium on our gas tax because they're not spending it, it's sitting there. So with maybe any connections we got in Springfield, could we maybe find out if we get a few bucks thrown toward Veterans Drive? 3.3 billion's a lot of money that's just sitting there. I mean, maybe for next season, but something to work on with our, maybe since this project is being marketed as a regional, not a Pekin road, we got other communities involved too, beside Pekin, that's going to benefit from this, so maybe we should all start working our legislators and say, hey, let's take some trees down there and see why this fund's not being used, and we could use it.
Yeah. Well,
Mr. Dawsey, would you like to address that comment? Because that was brought up in that legislative session.
That's exactly right. I was just going to say that.
We're having a lot of conversations with the elected officials as well as our lobbyists. So
We
it's-
are.
It's all ongoing. It's part of the process.
And as a matter of fact, that is what the new CEO of Caterpillar said too. I understand you purchased some land and you are finally going to get connected to 474. So he did his homework on Pekin and probably every elected official he spoke to. It's just, it was very personal with me. So we have had conversation with our congressmen. We have had conversation with our senators. We have had conversation with our representatives. So we have had conversation with our lobbyist, our attorney. It is ongoing, and we're kind of hounding them. And with a greater economic development as well. We are still on a short list, as they're calling it, for $58 million. Okay. Okay, Ms. Phillips said she wanted to go last. Do you want me to say a couple of words first, or
Go
you
ahead
want
and
to
do
go
your thing.
last?
I won't go last.
So once again, I just want to say thank you to everyone for taking your time. I know it's hard to give up family time and go and listen to other people talk and hear what other cities are doing. But it really is helpful. It's the networking that you see and hear what other cities are doing. But when, I'm going to reiterate, when they are coming to you saying, Pekin's on the right track, you're on the move, you're on fire, it was numerous times that it was said, and I can't be more proud of where our city is going. So, Ms. Phillips.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. And as always, I want to thank everyone who's been here tonight. Mary's right. The conference, the IMLL conference, there was a lot of good information there. a lot of good people to meet, a lot to take from it. And next meeting, I hope to talk more about some of those things.
Great.
But tonight, there was one topic, one meeting I attended, that I think deserves to be first, even though at first glance we think it's not a local issue. But if you pay any attention to news at all, you may have noticed that there have been a lot of violent things happen recently. And I attended a workshop that was moderated. One of the moderators was the person who was mayor of Highland Park when their parade was shot up. And what they say, and I'm afraid it's true, is we have to prepare for hate crime, because it's not if, it's when. And I really do want us as a community to think about this. I'm trying to keep this brief and not get too emotional. But
Go right ahead.
and one of the nights I was in Chicago, I had a moment to meet with my 23-year-old goddaughter. And she is currently living in the big town of Chicago. She grew up in one of the southern states, very rural. She pointed out to me that her generation has known nothing but violence. Since 9/11, it's just been one thing after another. I'm not worried about this kid. She's amazing. But I'm worried about her peers, the kids in the basements that we're not reaching out to, that are getting lost. And this thing doesn't happen because someone is one political or another. It happens because we lose touch with each other's humanity. And I want to encourage everybody to remember that and to check out on your kids. Check on the people in your life. Check on the people who might be at risk for other forms of violence or self-hurt. I want to take this just another step further, though. I have a cousin who was an official out in Colorado, and she had to quit being a public official because of the number of death threats she was receiving. And this wasn't anything that made the headlines. It was just a local community. And everybody's scared right now. And we can say it's on both sides of the fence. But I want you to know, here in town, all the fences are here. We're us. And I want to encourage everybody to be really careful about how you talk about your fellow community members. The third story, and then I'll try to wrap up and we'll go on. I'll make my motion. After the last meeting that we had, one of my friends was watching it on the YouTube, and he said, I was afraid that guy was going to take out a gun and start shooting one of you. We know that person. I wasn't afraid. But when people come and they talk to us, I want to encourage anyone out there in the public, because, it's just us in here right now, who happens to be watching, to remember that it doesn't matter if you're not thinking of hurting us. If you stand there and yell at us and say that we're responsible for things that we have no control of, you're putting targets on us. And if we want to live in a world where normal, reasonable, rational people serve and run for public office, we've got to ask people to remember that we're just fellow community members. There is no us and them in this town. There's only us. And with that,
Don't make the motion yet, because I do want you to know that you went to the crime one up in Chicago, correct? Yeah, I didn't make that one. We actually had a special meeting going on up there, but I guess I should say we had a meeting. So I missed that one, but I thought it would be pretty doggone interesting. I'm glad you said something about it. I want you to know that I have had conversation after the meeting, the last meeting where he was pretty disruptive, and I told Mr. Dossi that we need to do something. We cannot let that continue. Yes, there's freedom of speech, but you cannot be afraid to sit up here, all of us. So, and maybe all of you weren't, but we still have to have respect in here. We have to have respect in this council room. So Mr. Dossi and I have spoke. We're going to see what we can do. I'm sure he'll bring the police chief in and try to figure out what we can do. So I want respect out of the people that come to the podium, and I will in return give them respect. But if they're coming after us, I've got to say something. So.
well, I, if you don't mind, Mayor.
Yeah, please do.
I brought that up as an example, but really what I'm talking about is just hate in general.
Mm-hmm.
That not just in this room, but how we speak to each other in every room. Hate begets hate, violence begets violence. And I want to encourage everybody, not just when you come talk to us, but when you're out in the world, try to bring the temperatures down. Try not to be a force that raises the temperature, and that's all I'm asking.
I appreciate that so much. Go ahead with your motion.
Madam Mayor, I'd like to make a motion.
Let's hear it.
I'd like to move to executive session under Section 5 ILCS 12120-2C6, the setting of a price for sale or lease of property owned by the public body.
Second.
Motion made by Ms. Phillips and second by Mr. Hilst. Madam Clerk?
Councilmember Hilst?
Aye.
Councilmember Abel?
Aye.
Councilmember Nutter?
Aye.
Councilmember Fletcher?
Aye.
Councilmember Phillips?
Aye.
Mayor Burris?
Aye. Motion passes 6-0. There will be no action taken when we come out of executive session. It's being 10 till 8. We don't need a break. 10 till 8, I call executive session to order, please.
Again, and hope is floating on the breeze, carrying my soul high up above the ground. And I've been keeping to myself, knowing that the season